Hello, my name is Dries, and in this video, I'm going to explain 3 concepts that I found challenging while building my Rocket Genesis API. The 3 concepts are mongoose schemas and relationships, the save single match deletion, and my authentication middleware, like my authorization middleware, along with my public route exclusions. So the first concept is my mongoose schemas and relationships. So the purpose of mongoose is to define the structure of documents saved in MongoDB. So instead of allowing any type of information to be saved, the schema describes each field as its data type and whether it's required or not by any default validation rules. So in my agent schema, I created fields such as first name, last name, email, region, rating, fee, sales, and manager. And I used the validation where appropriate. So for example, if the email is required, and it's unique, it'll be converted to lowercase and then checked against an email pattern. Sales defaults will be set to 0 and manager defaults to false. The region schema contains fields such as region, address, total sales, manager, and top agents, and the total defaults are also set to 0, with the top agents defaults to an empty array. The most challenging part was understanding the required relationships, that the manager field does not contain a complete copy of the manager. Instead, it contains an object ID that references an agent document. So yeah. This keeps the agent and region data in separate collections while still connecting them, and it also avoids duplicating the complete agent record inside every region. If an agent changes, I do not need to update a separate copied version inside the region. So that was my first concept. My second concept is a single match deletion, safe single match deletion. So the purpose of my deletion logic is to guarantee that the endpoint only deletes one intended agent. So first, the controller is going to validate the query parameters. And an empty query returns a 400 response because the user must provide identifying information. Blank values and unsupported fields also will return 400. So after validation, the controller calls count documents using the deletion filter. If the count is 0, it returns 404 because no agent was found. If more than one agent matches, it returns a 409 and it won't delete anything. Only when the count is exactly 1 does the controller call find and 1 delete. This was challenging because deletion is not only about calling a database function, but I had to think about all the unsafe conditions before allowing that function to run. I also had to return the correct HTTP status for each outcome and include returns after responses so the controller would stop executing. This approach protects my apologies. This approach protects the database from an overly broad query, such as deleting by a region that will contain several agents. So here we go. My third concept is I'm trying to get the script. Is authorization middleware along with public route exclusions. So the purpose of this middleware is to protect private API endpoints with a shared token while still allowing the health check routes to be public. So let me pull it up. All right. So I created a set containing hello slash status and slash error. So when a request enters the middleware, it first checks whether the path is in that public route set. If it is, then the request will continue without an authorization. For every other route, the middleware reads the authorization header and compares it with auth token and from the environment configuration. If the configure token is missing or if the provided value is incorrect, the middleware returns exactly 403 access forbidden. The header must contain the raw token value because the project does not use a bearer token or JWT authentication. The middleware is registered in app before the application routes. This ordering is important because if it were registered after the routes, the handlers could execute before authorization was checked. The same middleware file also contains the request logger. It records the full date and time, HTTP method, and requested route for every request. The difficult part was allowing the correct public routes without accidentally making the entire API public. Overall, these three concepts taught me how data structure, safe controller logic, and middleware work together, and these schemas brought the shape of the database, and deletion controller protects stored records, and the authentication middleware protects access to the API. That concludes my explanation of the three concepts documented in my concepts ND file.